Inside the Birds is back. What's up, everybody? It's Geoff, Mosher, Adam Caplan for our midweek mashup, and it's all about the Eagles right now as they beat the Kansas City Chiefs on Monday Night Football 21-17 to get to 9-1. And Adam, let's just take, before we get into this podcast and recapping that game and some of the injuries and things like that, just take a minute to think that the Philadelphia Eagles, this is a PSA, right, that we're going to send right now for our younger Eagles fans, maybe our fans who are 25 years old and younger, who we're told podcast audiences can gravitate toward younger. So this is for them, right? The Eagles, since the start of last year, are now 23-4 in their last 27 games. And I'm not being Negadelphian for you people. You young fans, I want you to know that you're not going to see too many stretches like this. It's not going to be like this for the rest of your lives. So you really need to cherish, and our older fans, I'm sure, would agree, the type of clip that they're winning at. I know they didn't win the Super Bowl last year, and we'll see what happens this year. If they don't, it's going to be very disappointing. But Adam, I mean, you're talking about some rarefied air here like that. We've talked about those Patriots teams, that Colts team, the Bears of 85 and 86. There's just not that many teams that have won this many games as the Eagles have since the start of last year.
Reminds me of the Patriots' dominance with Tom Brady. Yeah, no doubt. And by the way, the Nick Sirianni now 17-5 on the road as a head coach in the regular season. That's the National Football League since he became head coach in 2021. That is just, and it hurts his record. It's ridiculous as a starter. And obviously that's amazing too. But for a new head coach, I could see if it was like Andy Reid changing teams. Now did a phenomenal job turning things around there. But this guy's a first-time head coach who no one else interviewed. Pretty good.
Yeah, and I'll add to this. While I do think the Eagles, we both think the Eagles have a very good 53 and a Super Bowl contender. We went into the year saying, compared to last year, maybe not as good because they rebuilt the defense. When you compare the 9-1 Eagles to teams that may have 7 wins, like the Chiefs or the Ravens or the Lions, right? I don't know that they are, from a 53 standpoint, leaps and bounds above them. But the fact that they're 9-1, the Eagles, and those other teams aren't, just shows you that even with the playing field a little bit more level this year, they are so mentally tough. They're so well coached. They get really good quarterback play, if not great quarterback play, leadership from that position. And that's what puts them over the top, of course, with the offensive and defensive line play as well.
9-1 last year after 10 games, 9-1 this year. It's really remarkable. We talked about in recent shows the 2017 team when they had the same bye week and the same record as this year's team. It's the parallels are interesting. And last year they were 14-3. The Eagles did not lose their second game until when? December 24th last season.
Yeah, just amazing. What a great clip. So you fans, young and old, please enjoy this because it's not going to be like this forever. It never is for any team. So enjoy it. Inside the Birds, of course, is presented by our friends at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. It's the exclusive Jersey Shore resort of Inside the Birds. It's going to be a quick turnaround for the Eagles, for Inside the Birds. Yes, Q&A will be out. It'll be out today. For those who listen, it'll be out Wednesday. They usually come out Tuesday, but obviously there was a game Monday, so they had to wait till Tuesday to record, and then it'll come out Wednesday at noon. So for those who catch this podcast early, it may not be out yet. For many of those, it will be up on both the YouTube and podcast platforms. Same thing with Inside the Tape with Greg Cosell and Clay Harbor that will be out Thursday on its at its normal time. And Inside the Birds pregame live is back at Fringe Bar on Sunday for the Bills-Eagles game. We're going to be there at the game. The show will start at 1:00, so it'll be from 1:00 to 3:00 at Fringe Bar, which is just a great place. We'll tell you more about Fringe Bar in a little bit, but a great place to watch a game, and they've been fantastic hosts of Inside the Birds pregame live. And last but not least, of course, we'll do our weekly. This is Thanksgiving week. Are we definitely getting John DiFilippo for the Patreon crew?
He told me he wants to do it.
Okay.
He's looking forward to seeing, because John correctly predicted, as he told me 10 times, you got to get Swift to football in space with that Goddard. That's exactly what happened. Yes. Now, I don't know if he knew they were going to run a jet sweep with him, but he said the middle of the field is where they're not going to have that much success, and he nailed it. because John was a big passing game guy as a play caller, and he's known for making running backs into better players than maybe most people. The most famous one is Duke Johnson in 2015, when Duke Johnson came out of nowhere and had like 70 some odd catches. And Gary Barnidge, John and I always joke about that. You made Gary Barnidge relevant. Gary Barnidge was the number 3 tight end for every team he had been with. He has a career year out of the blue with John. He becomes a Pro Bowler and gets paid.
It's amazing how that stuff happens.
I know. So yeah. Oh, and he loves the questions. In fact, we got to all of your questions that you posted. We got to all of them, and we will put the link up later today. If for some reason he can't do it, we'll obviously do it next week after we'll see the Bills tape. But yeah, he said he enjoys doing it, and we also want to welcome our latest member, Jimmy, who signed up over the last couple of days. And Chuck Pagano said he definitely will be on with us soon. So we want to get him to talk about Sean Desai's doing a very nice job, and we got 2 or 3 more people we're targeting for December. Joe Banner, definitely want to get him back on. Joe was away with his family for a couple weeks, but he's back. Want to get him on because he definitely said he would come back. We know that he comes on a couple times a year. We want to get him on. So patreon.com/inside the bird want to become a member.
There you go. And big thanks to Jimmy for hopping aboard. And as Adam just said, patreon.com/inside the birds. All right, we have some transactions, some injuries we want to discuss. So we're going to pause real quick just to hear a word from our friends at Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan your visit.
All right. So no workouts through Tuesday. So the Eagles pretty happy with what they have on the 69 right now. Now, do you want to get ahead of this or leave it to me or not comment it at all? Because you know how it works. As soon as somebody in the NFL who has some kind of recognizable name becomes available. And listen, this is a linebacker, right? So this time I'm not going to fault people for asking us, but obviously Shaq Leonard, formerly known as Darius Leonard, was waived. Well, he's released by the Colts, but he goes on waivers, right, as of Tuesday, Adam. And then because everybody who gets released, whether you're a veteran or not now, at this point of the season, gets on waivers. So we'll have to see if somebody puts in for him and if the Eagles are interested.
John, if anyone claimed that he's making close to $14 million this season, the prorated portion of his contract that's left is just under $6 million. Why would somebody pay that much money? Right? It's a terrible sign that he's only 28, obviously with one of the best linebackers of the day.
Yeah,
but the Colts are moving off from him. He just signed an extension 2 years ago. Like that's obviously not a good sign. Now they know him, they had him, they didn't want him. To be clear, EJ Speed is a guy that they like, who signed a very light extension earlier this year, so he'll start. But look, assuming he passes through waivers later today, which should happen, how could the Eagles not at least work him out and see where he's at? Obviously, they have this game tape, but how would you not work him out? This is by far now, because they took it with Roby back, and I still think they should at least work some slot corners out just to be safe for insurance. They don't have a third inside linebacker. It's technically Christian Ellis, but you don't want to go to him if one of the two guys gets hurt. Mm-hmm. They're rolling the dice here. They need to really work guys out. Now, again, remember they landed Tuesday very early, mid morning, so obviously the staff wasn't around, so they could still work out players today and Thursday and Friday if they want to. But bottom line is that's a position. And by the way, tight end, we're going to get the injury. Tight end all of a sudden's got injury problems, so they got to probably work guys out at that position.
So I was interested. I think I saw that Blake Martinez got signed off a practice squad to is it the Steelers who signed him to their 53?
Yeah, because they're down 2 ILBs for the season.
Right.
I'm told that Landon Roberts is playing really well.
Mm-hmm.
They had 4 guys, all veterans. Now they're down to 2 veterans and a couple kids really haven't played. So they actually added 2 inside linebackers. You're right. Martinez was one of them. So yeah, the other thing is Tyree Jackson, the I have to check the exact transaction, what it was. I know that Jackson was either elevated or signed off the Giants practice squad to their roster 53.
Okay.
Because that would be a guy. That's a guy they should try to bring back. But they do have your guy and our guy, Noah Tungiai, on their practice squad.
Right.
He's there. So they have another tight end who's healthy. So technically, two healthy on the 53. Alberto is the other one, in addition to Stoll. And then Tungiai is the third who's on the practice squad. So probably want to start working guys out.
Yeah, definitely. And you know what? It wouldn't be a bad idea, I think, if Leonard goes unclaimed, to then maybe work him out and see if you think he's got something that gives you more than Christian Ellis, and then you can sign him to a 1-year deal. No, you're right. It would be it would be bad business to claim Shaq Leonard's contract off waivers, because it's just, as you mentioned, the money involved for what you're getting out of the player now. But if he goes unclaimed and is a free agent, and then you get a chance to kind of kick the tires on and work him out, maybe that is something that the Eagles would do if he goes unclaimed. So we'll see what happens there. At least see what he's got compared, because you're comparing everything right now to Christian Ellis and Ben Van Sumeren, right? So why not, take a look and see if you can get better than that.
I totally agree. And that to me is the one issue now, is that the inside linebacker has zero depth, quality depth. And that'd be it. I mean, they've kind of receiver. They addressed the position. They're good there. A line, they're fine. Running back, they're good enough. That was it. We'll get to that rotation. That was a little bit odd that Boston Scott played over Gainwell a little bit. That was interesting. I know some fans were happy with the randomness. They spun the dial with Boston Scott, and it said, "Hey, put him in."
Hey, you can't blame the wheel. The wheel just tells you when Boston Scott gets a carry. It's
like a week.
It's not their fault.
Exactly. Yeah,
Rashad Penny's like, wait a minute. I just noticed something. This wheel that you spin, it's got, it's obviously the most of the pie is DeAndre Swift. There's a little Boston Scott and then a little bit bigger Kenny Gainwell. He's like, my name's not on that wheel. And the coach is like, oh, how about that?
That was, I don't know what to make of. Gainwell played more snaps, but Gainwell barely played. But we'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, that was. Yeah.
All right. Injury updates. Quez Watkins has still been out. Obviously, he now enters, I believe, week 2 of the 21-day practice window. So we'll have to see. This is a short turnaround game for the team. They will start they'll get their normal amount of practices in, and he didn't play obviously against the Chiefs, so it's not like that short turnaround impacts him. But you wonder if they'll be able to get him on the practice field at all this week, and if they're able to you just wonder if he's going to be able to make it through this 21-day window and get activated at some point. Or especially with the Eagles getting what they're getting, I get not much but enough out of Olamide Zaccheaus and Julio Jones.
Yeah, and Zaccheaus does block for the run. By the way, Watkins has not practiced. He has not been designated for return.
That's correct. My fault. Right. He has not been designated for return.
So he's actually been on IR since week 6.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, this is the second time he's been on IR. They changed the rules. You could be on it twice, but you can't. If you're going 3 times, you're not coming. You can't come back for the season.
Yeah.
I wonder. I'm not questioning the legitimacy of this injury, and I'm assuming it's because he went on IR for the first time for a hamstring. I wonder how bad the tear is. Like, what? We need to kind of look into this. This is kind of surprising to me that it's taken this long. And, I know he has his critics, including us. We've called it like we've seen and what we've heard, but the guy could run.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that he can do. And I know that Sirianni loves to point out how he helps the other guys get open because teams have to worry about him down the field. Okay, we'll take his word for it. But that's just another guy would help their depth, and this guy can run. So he is so far. We'll see now. We'll see if he starts working this week.
Yeah, definitely. And as you pointed out before, that Noah Tungiai signing last week to the practice squad looks pretty smart now, because Grant Calcaterra, who had the concussion earlier a couple weeks ago, had to leave the game against the Chiefs with an ankle injury first half, didn't come back. They were playing some amount of 12 personnel in that game. Yeah. And then they had to kind of scrap that, because then they were down to basically Jack Stoll and Alberto. And I haven't seen the snap counts yet. I didn't look. Did Alberto get in that game at all? Did you happen to see?
Yeah, no specials, 10 snaps. I remember seeing, I think he might have been 85, if I'm not mistaken, his number. But I saw him in there. Like, oh, maybe they'll throw it to him. Oops, no. But yeah, they went heavy 11. Yeah, they definitely went heavy 11. And I think you're right, because they're what we call a 12-11 team. They go by week in terms of who's available and when the matchups look like.
Right.
Where Peterson, Doug, the first 2 years was heavy 11. Like that was it before Goddard was drafted. And Goddard, obviously, you have to account for him. So they played a lot of 12. Hurts was traded. Now they go back and forth whatever they feel like they need to do. But yeah, they're healthy. Let's put it this way: they're healthier than they had been. Right. It doesn't help them overall now that Calcaterra's hurt, because he's a guy that they like, and for matchups he could help. And without Goddard, it's a little bit harder.
Right. And I definitely thought, and maybe you did too, coming off the bye week, maybe they would have more opportunities to acclimate Albert O. But they're clearly just not ready to have him be a bigger, more functional part of the offense yet, which is weird because we're like 11 weeks into the season, but it's just not there yet.
His issue is blocking, and that's just always something that is going to be challenging for him. Like Calcaterra had real concerns from blocking out of SMU, and he's worked hard at it. He's gotten better at it, and the coach has been comfortable putting him in the game. And as you said, he's been hurt. So Tungiai, by the way, they have till Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern if they want Tungiai to play and elevate him, they have till 4 p.m. This Saturday. So we'll see if they do it.
All right. We'll get to some of the defensive injuries in a second. Wintertime is approaching. It gets darker sooner. Everyone's got to get their holiday shopping done. It's scramble time. So who has time to plan and make meals? Not me, right? That's why we love HelloFresh. They deliver farm fresh food with pre-proportioned ingredients and seasonal recipes right to our doorstep. No more wasting time at the grocery store, because America's #1 meal kit helps make home cooking easy, efficient, and affordable. We don't have to waste time researching new recipes or planning out meals. With HelloFresh, the shopping is already done. The perfect amount of ingredients arrive with step-by-step recipe cards. It just can't get any more efficient than that. Plus, HelloFresh saves you time and money. It's 25% less expensive than takeout, so you get a home-cooked meal without digging deep into your wallet. And don't forget about the taste and selection. HelloFresh makes food for meat lovers, seafood lovers, vegetarians, and anyone who loves variety. All right, they've got great chicken meals. They've got great stir fries, shrimp and risotto. You got to try their wonderful selection of meals. And you can do that by going to HelloFresh.com/50Eagles and use the promo code 50Eagles. That's 50 Eagles for 50% off plus free shipping. That's HelloFresh.com/50Eagles. And then you use the promo code 50Eagles, 50Eagles for 50% off plus free shipping. Act now for America's #1 meal kit. Defense, Adam. Sometimes this happens and it's like, the guy's having a great game. Milton Williams was having a really, really good game. And then he leaves with a concussion. And the unfortunate part about that, as you know, is that, especially for it happening on a Monday night, the turnaround here is going to make it, and listen, we're just speculating, but speculating based on all the data would tell you it's going to be extraordinarily difficult, if not impossible, for him to be able to play against the Bills.
Yeah, not impossible. I've seen players come back in 6 days. The league says it's a 6.5 day.
Right.
But 6.5 days. So you're right. It's going to be really tough. He technically starts now. They have a heavy rotation with the D tackles. He started this game. He's such a good player. I know if you ask personnel people in the league, they probably would say Lee McNeil is a better player, but he doesn't play the same way. He doesn't have Williams' versatility. Tell you what, he's in his 3rd year of his rookie deal. Next year is the last one. If this continues, he's going to make a lot of money in free agency. Whether he comes back, it'll be hard because 2 other guys, the 2 first rounders, have to start.
Yeah. He's
going to make some money. He's a really good football player.
Yes. For him to have been able to earn himself as a starter in that 3 interior, he starts when they start in a 5-man front over Jalen Carter, by the way. It'll be him, usually Fletcher Cox and Jordan Davis at the nose. And and that's such a sign of his improvement that they trust him against the run, because he's basically out there on first down. And, the whole thing coming out of Louisiana Tech, short arm, great interior burst, going to rush the passer. Not sure how he'll get off blocks against the run, but sometimes watching him play, I think his run defense there, like, even against the Chiefs, there were times where he just was his get off and he was making a tackle, and you think, man, he's actually really good at run defense at times.
Yeah, he blew plays up. Unfortunately, he got hit by some friendly fire from a teammate, and he saw him go down. Oh man, I'm glad now they said it was a concussion. Hopefully, it wasn't his neck too, because it did not look good.
Yeah,
they just listed as a concussion, so that's why you saw Marlon Tuipulotu play. I think he had maybe 9 snaps, and then the other injury wasn't hurting the game, but Justin Evans did start working last week. So the hope here is that within the next 2 weeks he'll come back, because they could use the depth at safety, and he has versatility to play in dime or nickel. He was really not a dime team, but they could if they want to. Big nickel's one we've seen them do, and depth would certainly be appreciated for the coaches going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And just real quick back on Williams, if he can't make it, you would think Jalen Carter would start, obviously, especially if they're in a 5-man front to start the game. And Moro Ojomo would probably be active. He was inactive. Wasn't there another surprise? Not Moro Ojomo. Somebody was a surprise inactive to me over on Monday.
Really? I didn't think any. I mean, we know that Derek Barnett has some personal issues. Nobody knows what it is.
Yeah.
They don't even. I mean, he was a healthy inactive the previous game.
Right.
I wasn't.
Maybe I just thought I don't know. I guess with Boston Scott back, of course, Rashad Penny was going to be inactive. So maybe that, I don't know.
Oh,
something caught my eye. Go ahead.
Suopeta.
That's what it was. Sua Opeta, because he literally went from being a starter 2 games ago to inactive. So that was the surprise. Thank you.
So here's why, because now that Steen at least showed he can play, right?
Mm-hmm.
He'll be the backup to Juergens, and he can also play tackle. See, here's the thing: it's Steen, it's Driscoll. Are there and Fred Johnson are their backups? That's it. So they typically only dress 8 and 9 only if there's an injury.
Mm-hmm.
So I get it. Yeah, you're right, man. It is kind of weird. Yeah, I mean, he did start. Now, obviously, they were not happy with what they saw. Because I get that Steen, happy enough, I should say. I get that Steen was drafted, but you're always one injury away from somebody having to play. But the bottom line is Steen at least got in there. He showed he could play at this level. He needs to be better, but he got in there. And Jack Driscoll, we don't talk a lot about, still could be, still's got that versatility which they need.
There you go. All right, so we'll move on. We'll give a little final word here on the Eagles-Chiefs game Monday night. What a huge win for the Eagles, honestly. I mean, it's not like they couldn't have afforded to lose the game, but just the way on the road in the rain against a team they couldn't beat, to come back from 10 points down, right? It was almost like the reverse of the Super Bowl there, and win that game was so big. But it's just like amazing how when you play Monday Night Football, you are literally on to the next matchup the very next day. Like, I feel less than 24 hours removed from recapping that game with you and Clay. And here we are. We'll put the final touches on it, and then we'll get into the Bills game. We'll have a great show, Inside the Birds pregame live show from Fringe Bar on Sunday. It'll start at 1:00, as we said. Fringe Bar at 140 North Columbus Boulevard in Old City, Philly, an awesome bar restaurant with one-of-a-kind 250-seat theater. We've told you about that. It's an amazing theater they've got with a 50-foot big screen, an incredible place to catch any Eagles home game, and no better way, of course, to boo the Bills than by going to Fringe Bar. Their menu is a soulful menu of dishes inspired by Chef Kenny's favorites, both from his family and from his travels. Jason Avant loves the lemon pepper wings. You can also get a burger with smoked cheese sauce and crispy onions, fried cheese curds, which I personally love. I mean, I can't say enough about their menu and the smell when you walk in there. Oh, the food's cooking. It's great. If you come to watch our show on Sunday, Fringe Bar will give you either half-price wings or $8 Blue Coat drink specials and an Eagles-themed cocktail. Fringe Bar is your new favorite game day hangout, so come support Inside the Birds and Fringe Bar. Come watch the show. We'll buy you a drink. I promise you. You'll have a great time. Jason Avant will take a picture with you. He's done that for people who have come to see the show. And then you get to stay and see the game on a beautiful big screen. It's just unbelievable atmosphere.
Can't wait.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. All right, and then we'll see if the Eagles can put the Eagles should be able to score more points against the Bills than against the Chiefs, who have one of the best defenses. But the offense struggled a little bit early on, Adam, and you wonder with the offensive line struggling, if it was more of unscouted stuff that Steve Spagnuolo was I felt it was a little bit more confusion than just them getting manhandled. Like maybe against the Jets game, they were manhandled. There were a couple of times that guys got knocked back. Certainly Jason Kelsey struggled with Chris Jones. But I thought in the first half when the offense was out of the rhythm, it's because you were seeing Trent McDuffie as a nickel blitzer. You were seeing them overloading at times. They were doing some different things to the Eagles.
Yeah, as Clay Harbor said, he and I had information, that we saw the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
There was one corner blitz. It's called a corner cat blitz or a creep blitz. When the corner creeps up and tries to hide behind the lineman, Hurts has to see that. And
yeah,
Clay said he saw him one time where it was an offensive lineman's problem. The other one was clearly his.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just a tape review, and they correct that. It's corrected. But then you have the one where they set up the screen. Troy Aikman pointed it out. They set the screen up. Lane Johnson did what he's supposed to do. He tossed the lineman. Unfortunately, Gainwell couldn't get free, and Hurts got sacked. So, yeah, it was a rough first half. And I was so wrong. Yes, I did pick the Eagles correctly to win it, but I texted Geoff at halftime. I said, they're not winning this game. No way. They're dead. They're not winning this game. And I put the reverse jinx on them for a good reason, and they came back and won. I just when you think they can't do it, I know that this is a flawed team. By the way, the whole league is flawed. This is not a great year. There's no dominant teams, not even close to it. There's a lot of very good teams like the Eagles, like the Chiefs, like the Lions, like the Niners. But they're not. The Eagles were the most dominant team last year. Chiefs were like 1A. Yeah, the Chiefs beat them, but the Eagles had a better roster. It just didn't happen. They didn't win the ring.
Right.
But this team's resiliency is just remarkable to me. I don't know how they keep doing it, and I know you don't want to do this in the playoffs. It's when it's on the line, you can't just count on it. But it's good that they've shown the ability. Hurts is great at coming back, by the way, so mentally tough. And just overall, their offense, it was a bad first half, but the highlight had to be, well, two of them. Swift was outstanding. I love how they came out with the new plays, which we thought they would do. Two of them were to Swift. The jet motion off of the stack, and they got Swift to stack. They got him in motion, and the inside handoff on the jet motion was awesome. That angle route for the screen was beautiful. The bubble screens, they might be the worst bubble team in NFL history.
They definitely are.
I don't know what I don't know what it is. I mean, this is not college football. Why do they have to? Why don't they just give it up?
Right. No, it's crazy. To your point, Adam, on just the dominance factor, last year the Eagles won 14 games. 7 of them were by 1 possession or more. So 50%. That means the other 50% of their wins were and if you go look, you'll see some blowouts there. This year, they've got 9 wins. 6 of them are by 1 possession. So far bigger percentage of wins by 1 possession this year. The last year was 50%. This year, they're already 6 of 9, which is over 50%. And the way things are going with their next few opponents, you kind of get the feeling these games are going to be pretty close. So they're outlasting teams. They're demoralizing teams because they're wearing them down and, coming back from down 10 against the Chiefs. It's not like last year where there were some real cakewalks in there. So you give them a lot of credit for the fortitude that they've built up. It wasn't a big A.J. Brown game. It was a bigger Devontae Smith game. And that just sort of shows you also Jalen Hurts understanding what the defense is trying to do, what they're trying to take away, where the openings are. He missed Devontae Smith earlier in the game on a deep cross that he just never threw it, and it was there. But he did get him a couple other times later in the game on either similar routes or when he was there. So that was a good adjustment for him.
Yeah, and I like what Aikman pointed out during the game. Like, he had A.J. Brown for a touchdown, but he said, Troy said there's just sometimes you don't see the receiver open because you've got traffic in front of you and you're trying to process everything at the same time, and you just couldn't get it to him.
Yeah.
But that throw was, I texted a friend of mine who's a big Eagles guy. I said that was an absolute dime to Devontae Smith with a 41-yarder. What a throw! That was a great throw. I just thought that the second half. See, here's the thing: the Chiefs self-destructed, and the Eagles hung in there. They didn't drop passes. They stopped the run. They loaded up the box more. In fact, they took away, for the most part, the middle area. Yeah, Justin Watson had a bad drop on a quick slant. Yeah, Kelsey. I don't know what that kind of technique he had on the pass to the side. I don't know what that was. It was awful. And that nothing to do with the rain. And people I talked to who were there said it did rain the entire game, but it was never a really hard driving range. It was sort of like an annoying rain, which wouldn't go away. It was light, but streamy and wouldn't go away. Anyway, but look, they found a way to win. It was not easy. As you mentioned, the line struggled mightily in the first half. That was disappointing, but I thought, you know what? I know it doesn't show the run for catch for Hurts. I thought he looked better, but a couple of Vaughn pointed this out on one of our pregame shows many weeks ago. It's really obvious. He did it in this game, and I understand that clearly getting in his ear, and I think Trey Aikman said it. Hurts is going down. He's not going to take that he's not going to take a bad hit. It's like he sees daylight. He doesn't think he could break it. He's just going down before the guy could hit him because he wants to survive for the next play. I get that. I get it, but that's kind of what you get.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And to your point on screens, I want to go back to that. The Eagles can be a better screen team if they get a little bit better perimeter blocking. If there's one criticism I'll have of AJ Brown, who's had a heck of a year, and I don't think it's an effort thing. I want to hope it's not an effort thing and it's more of just a technique thing, although these things are supposed to be practiced and repped a lot. But I don't know if it's maybe because the ball's not coming to him on a screen and he's got a block, but he for such a strong, compactly built guy, he should be a great screen blocker, and he's not. And it really is blowing up a couple of screens.
I hope Jason talks about with on Q&A or Cosell and Harbor, obviously Clay, especially the tight end, and obviously we'll nail it on the pregame show. We'll obviously discuss that. But look, their offense is obviously not its code. Now, we should mention, you were saying this in passing, their schedule's way harder this season. Now, obviously, be more challenging.
Yeah.
And not having Goddard. Yeah, I mean, look, Goddard was not there for the plays over the middle where he shines. And Greg talked about this on our pregame show with Jason and I. There were voids and Spags' coverage, but because they did not have Goddard. Even Calcaterra could have done that, but he got hurt in the first half. Now, as you said earlier, it would have been nice if Albert Okwuegbunam, would have been that guy down the seam because he could run. That's why he was drafted like he was with Denver. But as you said, maybe going forward, if he's got to play more, maybe they show more confidence because they do need that explosiveness out of the tight end position.
Yeah, that would be nice. That would be definitely good to have if they can get it. All right, we'll move on to defense and special teams in a second. I want to remind everybody to check out our friends at phlsportsnation.com. They're enhancing the fans' experience with their coverage of all Philadelphia sports teams. For the fan, by the fan is their motto, so make sure you check them out at phlsportsnation.com and on Twitter at phlsportsnation. Let's also pause to hear a word from our great friends at Sky Motor Cars.
Sky Motor Cars in Westchester is a different sort of dealership. All it takes is one look at their Highline pre-owned vehicles that people all over the country want and need. Owner Brett Schulter, make sure you don't spend a dime of your money before you purchase the car. Sky Motor Cars allows you to make all the decisions regarding your next vehicle. At Sky Motor Cars, you never have to spend more than necessary. Visit SkyMotorCars.com today or call 610-918-7225.
And if you happen to drop into Sky Motor Cars out there in Westchester, PA, make sure you tell them Adam and Geoff sent you. You will get a great deal. If not, just go visit them at SkyMotorCars.com. All right, defense. I think the bigger surprise, and again, this is sort of like goes back to the offensive line. Was it confusion or was it getting manhandled? But the defense did not seem to have a response early for the Kansas City run game. Yes, the Kansas City run game, not passing game, not Patrick Mahomes, but Pacheco ran hard, but they also got him outflanked on the edge a couple of times. And you just wonder if maybe that was just, we didn't expect them to start running and hitting us at the edges because nobody else has done that to us this year.
Yeah. So they had 121 in the first half. That's why I was like, this is not what I expected. That's why I thought they were cashed because as I was saying to you at halftime, they don't have it. They're not bringing the energy. I've not seen them compete this badly with their run defense. They're getting gashed. Pacheco is herky-jerky and explosive. And then the second half, I think they only gave up 30 yards on the ground. I know some people said that they gave up on the run. I mean, look, it's Andy Reid. If he doesn't see it, Sirianni does the same thing. They're pass game people. They saw it in the first half. They got it. I mean, Pacheco had 19. It's funny. In the end, he only had 19 carries. I say that because he was doing so well in the first half. I thought he had 30.
Mm-hmm.
They actually only had 30 overall. Now, we talked about leading up to the game, the back-breaking Mahomes runs. Man, he had that one run, 14 yards, and I hate when he does this. He and it's smart though. He's going out of bounds, so because it's not where it's where the ball goes out, right? So
right.
he reaches to get extra yardage. But man, Fletcher Cox came this close to grabbing his jersey and bringing him down. They did a relatively good job on the scrambles, but they did close. They decided did a great job of adjusting in the second half. I thought that was impressive. Kansas City did not play a lot of 13 personnel, which is 3 tight ends. Blake Bell barely played. They played a lot of 12. Mm-hmm. They played a lot of 12, a little bit more 11. That's why Roby only played 56% of snaps. But they played more 11 than 12, but it wasn't like a heavy 11 game. And I don't understand. I don't know if it's Eagles coverage. I don't know if they took the other guys out of the game, but why the hell is Justin Watson leading them in pass darts? What
I don't know. But listen, after watching everybody else drop, and he dropped the pass too. His was a little bit harder, I think. I mean, they're not all drops are created equal, but you could see if Andy during the bye week was like, let's just start trying to get Patrick thrown to somebody else because, MVS is dropping passes and Sky Moore is dropping passes and Kadarius Toney's dropping. So we might as well, find somebody else. So, and look, it worked for a little bit because Justin Watson caught some big passes for them. Yeah.
Scored back to the end zone.
Certainly could catch the wide open ones. That helps.
He's been their shot play guy. Him and MVS been mostly shot plays. MVS to make like $1 zillion and not living up to it. But I thought as the second, you could just see, boy, they were so much tighter in their zone concepts. They moved things up. They did a little press coverage, not very much. The Chiefs definitely pressed, as Cosell said they would. Greg was right on that. The DBs were more consistent. You saw Byard move around for matchup purposes. I thought Byard had a good game. Yeah, he wasn't perfect. Nobody is. It's only his third game. He's still learning this defense. The linebackers did a much better job against Kelsey. I was stunned. I thought he'd kill them. I thought this would be a George Kittle game, who, by the way, they play on week 13. I think it is, something like that. But they did a good job. That was encouraging. Getting by. I'll tell you what, folks, for those people who are saying Byard's toast or whatever, come on. Got to give the guy time. It was much better.
Yeah, no, I mean, he's obviously not the player who was 5 or 6 years ago, but I thought he and Hassan Reddick in different ways did a really good job on Travis Kelce. Reddick would, whenever Kelce, listen, Travis Kelce wasn't blocking Reddick, he was chipping, right? He would have try to throw a little chicken bone into him every once in a while, but they had to collide a few times, and Reddick gave him what he got him, and he got in his ear, and he maybe got in his head a little bit. And then Byard obviously has had some success against him before. I know Kelce wound up having a better second half, but when you look at the totality of it, Kelce didn't have a great game. The touchdown he caught was wide open. We diagnosed that in the post-game show. It was another bad switch off from the Eagles secondary. This one with Byard and Slay, but probably more on Slay than Byard. But otherwise, I think they made Travis Kelce work for every catch that he got. And then there were some that he didn't get because maybe he was getting hit all night long. So whatever the Eagles did, they did a nice job. I think they deserve credit. I don't think it was just happenstance that Kelce had a bad game. I think the Eagles were a part of that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I mean, look, they didn't score a point. Okay, the MVS one, the Eagles would have got, if we would have caught that, I think it was a minute 50 left. Did they not have all 3 timeouts left? They did.
I think so.
Yeah, so they could have stood and they would have only been down 3.
Right.
Whereas the Chiefs had to get a touchdown. They couldn't go for a field goal. So, in fact, I think they used 2 of their timeouts, if not 3. But the bottom line is they found a way. They shut him outside. Did a really good job. He's a good coach. Folks, you have to understand the Eagles. If the Eagles are so flawed in certain areas of their defense, some guys are playing way better. Zach Cunningham, what a signing! I'm stunned that he's playing this. I'm not saying he's a Pro Bowler, but there were some people we spoke with leading up to that signing and said, I don't know if he can play anymore. Well, there was
right.
People
right.
He's playing. Morrow's been a good signing. They need depth at inside linebacker. But you have to look at it. They're playing with, counting Roby as a starter, 4 out of their 5 starters, the secondary are 30 years or older, which is absolutely unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
And they're hanging in there. I mean, Blankenship was not signed. The Eagles did 32 teams passed on drafting him. Think about that. Morrow, the Bears didn't want him back. Cunningham his contract was terminated by the Titans. Son Reddick, the Panthers were told made very little effort to resign him. That was a mistake. Matt Rule was the one who kind of made that call. He had personnel control then. But what a signing! Oh my, he is fun. What a football player! What a great dude! But what a football player! Oh,
yeah.
What a signing!
And I'm with you on Sean Desai. What a really impressive first year. I know some people are still on his case and they want more of this or more of that, but I think he's done a really, really good job. He is certainly not stagnant. He changes things up, plays different guys, doesn't show you the same thing week to week. I think he's done what you could ask for a first year coordinator. So good on him. And good on Michael Clay. You know, I know that we did discuss a little bit of the kickoff coverage issues, or punt coverage issues, I should say, in the game, but Braden Mann has done a nice job since he's got here. Had a good game against the Chiefs, and Britton Covey continues to be a pretty good returner, as we see.
By the way, he might be a Pro Bowler this year. He's that good.
That would be interesting.
It could be. We gotta see what the rest is. I know he was way up there, close to the top. He's got such good quicks, man. I got to give the Eagles credit. I know we were wondering last year for the first half of the season. It was more blocking than him. We saw his improvement more. He's taken off. Big play by Josh Jobe, I think we pointed out in our post-game show. That was huge. Boy, that was actually a big play in the game to pin them back. That was an awesome job. Number 20.
Absolutely. It almost stopped the bleeding, right, of Kadarius Toney. I mean, it was really important. And by the way, Michael Clay, working with a lot of new guys. You know, Josh Jobe really only in his second year. I'm not even sure how much he played. If he played special teams last year, I believe. But you know, obviously Keely Ringo has been a big part of their special teams. He's a rookie. So yeah. So, and I think they were expecting if Nick Morrow was going to be on the 53, he'd be doing a lot of special teams because Nakobe Dean would be starting. It was Zach Cunningham getting in there, and Morrow has been playing a lot of defense and playing well too. So, good job on Clay. Good job, Desai. And of course, Nakobe Dean has still 3 games to go on injured reserve, and then we'll see what happens if he can come off after that because he had the foot surgery. But that was game 1 against Kansas City of him being on injured reserve. All right, our next podcast will be Friday, and we'll be breaking down Eagles-Bills as this Murderer's Row continues, and that should be a great game to break down. That's going to do it for this episode of Inside the Birds, the leading podcast in Eagles Intel. As always, we thank you for flying with us inside the bird.